Hey everyone, time for another weekly review. And we close the quarter. Um, let's look at a couple of candles. First of all, daily looks pretty bad. Big ass engulfing rejection. Second attempt to break out above. A clear bearish divergence here. Or it's not that big, that clear of a divergence because it's a negative candle. So only the closing counts for RSI. But we got a rejection nonetheless. Weekly, we have back-to-back rejections. At 544-ish, or let's call it 545. Monthly and quarterly still look okay, but uh, this doesn't change the fact that we are due a correction. Like we can have something like this and continue going up afterwards. Uh, Maybe do like a drop to 520-ish or something, which is going to be like the 50% level on this candle here. And I think the weekly is the most important one at the moment because it gives us a bunch of good targets if we get a correction. And the way it should be interpreted is like this. If we lose the low of this candle, the previous, not last week's, the week before that candle, we likely start an impulsive move down. And there are three possible targets. The lows of the previous three candles. These two are kind of one and the same. Because they're close together. One is 522, the other is 518. 518, if I looked correctly, is approximately the 50% level of the quarterly candle, which is also a big support level. But that's kind of the gist of it. So if we start dropping, targets will be to take out this, or to take out this, or to take out this. If we go below this, we probably go down here. If we don't go below this, we probably go down here. And on the daily, I'll turn back the lines. 521, I think the 26, 518 is now the 100 MA. AVWAP from the low was 491, so that's even lower. AVWAP from here is 524 now. We shall see which level holds. I'll I'll draw them. Once we go below this level, and I'll put it in red, which is 541.61. Target 1 is this, 532.05. The target is actually to go below this, but not significantly below this. Then 522.60 and 518.46. Best guess is somewhere in this range between these two. Could even take out 518, but doesn't seem that likely at the moment. We shall see how it happens. Another reason why I think this is now more likely than before is this. This is the liquidity thing I copied from someone on Twitter and have been using. And we have, based on Friday's close, a move above uh, this curve channel, and this in spite of the market dropping on Friday. So liquidity dropped a lot on Friday for the end of quarter, what it usually does at the end of the quarter, but nonetheless this usually lines up with a top. We haven't gone above this line since July 31st approximately, 23, and that was the last 10% correction the market had. So this lined up with the other technical setups leads me to believe that we're actually going to correct now. Then on Friday, had a bit of a breadth improvement, and it was more of a rotation day. We saw mega caps almost down across the line, and I think that if that continues, it's highly unlikely that the market will stay up. it's much more likely that the other names become red as well than that all these names stay green. Mega caps continue doing like 1, 2%, 3% days down, and uh, once everyone jumps in, it's gonna have a lot of momentum. There's also the psychological level, which is 540. If 540 doesn't hold, expect this gap to fill. If this gap fills, it will have a bit of momentum. So it's becoming more and more likely that things will have downside momentum, and we get a bit of a correction. This week, we also have only 4 trading days. We have July 4th on Thursday. Probably Friday, a lot of people will take the day off, so don't expect a lot of volume. And in this low liquidity environment, it's a low volume environment, it's a more likely that price moves a lot due to price moves a lot with little volume. So when there are few participants in the market, it's more likely that they can push price in the direction they want to with less volume. So in this scenario, if the direction chosen is down, then it's going to be relatively easy to push price down. People are going to get out and enjoy their holiday without thinking about the market. Going into the micro stuff. So I said on Friday that if we don't bounce here, we are going likely all the way to the low of the broadening formation. I still think so. The difference is that this up and down cycle already happened. If we go to the 5 minutes, we went down, bounced, and now we are consolidating slightly above the 50% level of this broadening formation. But this seems more like a rejection at the moment, or we haven't rejected yet, but the fact that it hasn't moved above yet, it's more bearish than bullish, and it should happen today. Like I don't think it will stay a lot longer here. So I expect this was a ghost print at 540. It's also like the gap start, not exactly the start of it, but in that area. A bit more chop here, and eventually go down, and then just like this could have been a breakout and we went higher, this can be a breakdown and we go lower. We'll see what when it happens. So I expect kind of this. First target here. It seems unlikely that we go all the way to 520, honestly, because that lack of time because of the public holiday is going to help. Uh, if we go down, it's going to help bulls. If we go up, it's going to help bears. It will act more like a circuit breaker. Like if a move has downside momentum, and then we get a day off, the market will stabilize, and I don't think it will go lower. I could be wrong here, and does this, but I think it's more likely that it holds here if we continue down because of the uh, July 4th break than not. Okay, looking at mega caps, kind of the same setup with everything because they were red on Friday and that's what made the market drop. We had Netflix with another rejection. We have a pennant here. Once we break down below this, it should have a lot of momentum to the downside. Meta, even though these aren't full engulfing candles, they actually are because if we count pre-market, everything was higher pre-market, but they opened a bit lower, and we actually, if we count pre-market, we have engulfing candles across the board more or less. And they all have similar setups, so once they break the trend, expect things to accelerate to the downside rather quickly. Microsoft, same kind of thing. Amazon rejection as well. Google rejection, and we are back below this trend line. Nvidia tried to go back up. This is actually a 50% retracement of Fibonacci. I'll hide my lines. Okay, so full Fibonacci sequence from the highs to the lows of this drop. We bounced, we tried to go above 50%, got rejected, tried to go above 50% again and didn't even make it there and got rejected again. At the minimum, we should see a retest of this AVU up area, potentially 115, but during hours this time. This was a pre-hours drop and then bounce. And if the low doesn't hold, we go lower. And I would say target would be like 100. It depends on how the market overall behaves, but that's kind of it. So we have some gaps here. One is here at 106. We have one on 95. We have the trend line that technically should hold, and that's going to be like what's 111 if we count the trend line. So double rejection on the daily. Now, if it makes new low, like if it takes this out, at the minimum, it should retest either this, which is here, like 118-ish, or here, which is 117, 118. But pre-market, so that's actually it. That's going to be the target, like 115 at the minimum. If 115 doesn't hold, we go even lower. Appen looks like the market, also rejection. Tesla, Tesla is actually what could set the tone for the market because they get the quarterly numbers, and we'll see what that looks like. I think they already released, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes pre-market. I posted on Friday that quarterly numbers are likely going to be the catalyst for either a move up or a move down. We'll see which one it is. Numbers are likely to be bad, but are they worse than the market expected? If they are worse than the market expected, they probably drop. But if they are still bad but more okay than the market expected, it goes up, and we'll see. We'll see based on that. Yeah, that's kind of it. So expectation is that we drop because the tone was set on Friday. Somewhat impulsive move down. It depends on continuation, and that's kind of it. Okay, have a good one. Bye bye.